Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the tall windows of the United Nations Space Command headquarters in Geneva, watching the morning sun reflect off the snow-capped mountains in the distance. The year 2387 had brought many changes to Earth, but the view from his office remained as beautiful as ever. He had been in charge of Earth's space defense for 8 years now, and most of that time had been peaceful. Humanity had quietly expanded into space, building mining colonies and research stations on dozens of worlds. But they had managed to avoid contact with the major alien powers that ruled the galaxy. That peaceful time was about to end. The communication device on his desk began to flash with an urgent blue light. Morrison turned away from the window and pressed the activation button. The holographic display showed his aide, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Wells, looking worried. "Admiral, we have an incoming transmission from outside our solar system," she said. "The signal is using advanced encryption we've never seen before. Our computers say it's definitely alien in origin." Morrison felt his stomach tighten. They had always known this day would come, but he had hoped it would be later rather than sooner. "Transfer it to my office immediately, and call Dr. Lisa Grant and Captain Ben Parker. I want them here in 5 minutes." The hologram disappeared, and Morrison sat down at his desk. He had spent years preparing for first contact with alien species, but now that it was happening, he felt strangely unprepared. Earth's military was strong by human standards, but they had no idea how they would compare to species that had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. The door to his office opened, and Dr. Lisa Grant entered first. She was Earth's leading expert on alien biology and had spent her career studying the few alien artifacts that human explorers had found on distant worlds. Behind her came Captain Ben Parker, the head of military intelligence. His job was to know everything about potential threats to Earth, even though until now those threats had been purely theoretical. "Admiral, what do we know about this transmission?" Dr. Grant asked as she took a seat across from his desk. "Almost nothing," Morrison replied. "Sarah says it's using encryption technology we don't understand, but our computers have managed to decode it. We're about to find out what our new neighbors want to tell us." Captain Parker remained standing near the door. "Sir, should we have additional security for this meeting?" "If this is first contact, there are protocols." "No protocols cover this situation, Captain," Morrison interrupted. "We're making it up as we go along." The communication device flashed again, and this time Lieutenant Commander Wells appeared, with a different expression on her face. "Admiral, the transmission is ready for playback. The aliens appear to be trying to communicate in our language, though it's clearly translated by their computers." "Put it through," Morrison said. The holographic display changed, and suddenly the office was filled with the image of something that definitely was not human. The being appeared to be made of living crystal, with a tall, elegant form that seemed to shift and change colors as it moved. Its face was angular and beautiful in an alien way, with large eyes that glowed with a soft blue light. When it spoke, its voice was musical but cold. "Greetings to the inhabitants of the third planet in this system," the alien said. "I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. We have become aware of your species' recent expansion into space, and we felt it necessary to contact you with an important message." Dr. Grant leaned forward in her chair, studying every detail of the alien's appearance. Captain Parker had moved closer to the desk, his hand instinctively resting near his sidearm. Even though the alien was just a recording. The ambassador continued speaking. "Your species has been expanding into regions of space that border the territories of 3 major galactic powers. We are currently engaged in a significant conflict with the Hive Collective and the Nexus Coalition over control of strategic resources and hyperspace routes. This war has been ongoing for 17 of your years, and it shows no signs of ending soon." Morrison exchanged glances with his 2 advisors. 17 years of war, and Earth had never even detected it. That said, something troubling about how isolated humanity really was from galactic affairs. "The purpose of this communication is to warn your species to remain neutral in this conflict," Ambassador Veltar said. Your technology appears to be primitive compared to the weapons being used in this war. Any attempt to involve yourselves would likely result in the complete destruction of your civilization. We do not wish to see this happen, as unnecessary destruction serves no one's interests. The alien paused, and its crystalline features seemed to shift into what might have been a condescending expression. We have observed your mining operations on several worlds near the conflict zones. We strongly advise you to withdraw from these locations immediately. While your species may consider these colonies important, they are located in areas where major fleet movements are likely to occur. We cannot guarantee their safety if they remain. Dr. Grant made a quiet sound of irritation. Captain Parker's jaw had tightened visibly. Morrison felt his own anger rising but kept his expression neutral. Furthermore, the ambassador continued, we must inform you that the Hive Collective and Nexus Coalition have been made aware of your species' existence. Like us, they consider you too primitive to be a threat, but they may view your colonies as obstacles to their military operations. It would be wise to avoid drawing their attention. The alien's image straightened, and its voice took on a more formal tone. This message serves as both a warning and an offer of protection. If your species agrees to remain completely neutral in this conflict and withdraws from all disputed territories, the Zephyrian Empire will ensure that you are not harmed by the ongoing war. We ask nothing in return except your promise to stay out of matters that are beyond your current capabilities. The recording paused again, and Ambassador Veltar's expression became almost pitying. We understand that your species may feel insulted by our assessment of your capabilities, but we speak from experience. This war involves weapons that can destroy entire solar systems and fleets that number in the hundreds of thousands of ships. Your largest military vessels would be considered small escort craft by our standards. This is not meant as an insult, merely as a statement of fact. The ambassador's image began to fade as the message neared its end. We await your response within 30 of your days. If we do not hear from you by that time, we will assume you have accepted our terms. We hope your species will make the wise choice. Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire, ending transmission. The hologram disappeared, leaving the three humans sitting in silence. Morrison was the first to speak. Well, he said quietly, that was certainly interesting. Dr. Grant shook her head. The arrogance is incredible. Did you hear how they talked about us? Like we're children playing with toys. Captain Parker finally moved away from the door and sat down. The question is, Admiral, what do we do about it? They're clearly more advanced than we are, but something about this whole message bothers me. Morrison stood up and walked back to the window. What bothers you, Captain? They know about our mining colonies, but they don't seem to know much else about us. If they're so advanced, why didn't they know about our defensive capabilities? Why send a warning instead of just telling us what to do? Dr. Grant nodded. Ben's right. And did you notice how they kept emphasizing how primitive we are? Almost like they're trying to convince themselves as much as us. Morrison turned back. To face them, recommendations? We need more information, Captain Parker said. I want to know everything about this war they're fighting. If we're going to make a decision about staying neutral, we need to understand what we're staying neutral from. Agreed, Dr. Grant added. And I want to analyze that transmission more carefully. There might be information about their technology hidden in the signal itself. Morrison nodded. Do it, both of you. And Captain, I want you to quietly review the defensive capabilities of all our outer colonies. Don't make any obvious preparations, but make sure our people know what resources they have available. Sir, are we considering not accepting their terms? Parker asked. Morrison looked out the window again. I'm not sure yet, Captain. But something tells me this war is about to become our problem, whether we want it to or not. 3 months had passed since Earth received the warning from the Zephyrian Empire, and life on New Denver Colony continued much as it always had. The mining settlement on Kepler 442b had grown to house over 50,000 people, making it one of humanity's largest colonies outside the solar system. The planet was rich in rare metals that Earth needed for its expanding space program, and the colonists had built a thriving community around the massive extraction operations. Kate Sullivan stood on the observation deck of the colony's main administrative building, watching the morning shift change at Mining Platform 7 as the colony administrator. She was responsible for the daily lives of every person on New Denver, and she took that responsibility seriously. The miners worked in dangerous conditions, drilling deep into the planet's crust to extract valuable ores, but they were well-trained and well-equipped. Safety was always her top priority. The communication system in her office chimed, and Kate turned away from the window to answer it. The face of Security Chief Tony Rodriguez appeared on the screen, and she could see immediately that something was wrong. "Kate, we have a problem," Tony said without any greeting. "Our long-range sensors are picking up ships approaching the system, big ships, and they're not ours." Kate felt her heart skip a beat. How many ships, and how long until they arrive? At least 12 vessels, possibly more. Our computers estimate they'll reach planetary orbit in about 6 hours. The energy signatures don't match anything in our database. Kate sat down at her desk and pulled up the colony's defense protocols on her computer. New Denver had some defensive capabilities, but they were designed to deal with pirates or raiders, not a major military force. "Tony, I want you to implement security level orange immediately. Start moving non-essential personnel to the underground shelters, but do it quietly. I don't want to cause a panic." "Already started," Tony replied. "But Kate, if this is what I think it is, our shelters won't be enough. We need to contact Earth and request immediate assistance." Kate nodded and began typing commands into her computer. "I'm sending a priority message to Earth Command right now." "How long will it take for them to receive it?" "About 4 hours through the quantum relay network," Tony said. "But even if they send ships immediately, the nearest Earth fleet is at least 2 weeks away." The reality of their situation hit Kate like a physical blow. If these approaching ships were hostile, New Denver Colony would have to defend itself with whatever resources they had available. She pulled up the colony's inventory on her screen and began reviewing their options. "Tony, what do we have for defensive weapons?" "The mining platforms have industrial plasma cutters that could be converted into weapons," he said. "We also have about 200 sets of mining charges that could work as explosives. The construction mechs could be armed with improvised weapons, and we have 300 security personnel with standard energy rifles." Kate stared at the numbers on her screen. It sounded impressive until she remembered that they were facing at least 12 unknown ships that had traveled between stars. "It's not much, but it's what we have. Start the conversions immediately." Over the next few hours, New Denver Colony transformed from a peaceful mining settlement into an armed fortress. The miners worked with desperate efficiency, converting their industrial equipment into weapons of war. Plasma cutters that normally sliced through solid rock were mounted on mobile platforms and aimed at the sky. Mining charges were distributed throughout the colony and wired with remote detonators. The massive construction mechs that built the colony's buildings were fitted with improvised armor and weapons. Kate moved through the colony, checking on the preparations and trying to keep morale high. The colonists knew they were facing impossible odds, but they worked with determination and courage that made her proud to lead them. These people had come to New Denver to build a new life among the stars, and they would not give up without a fight. The alien ships arrived exactly when the sensors predicted they would. Kate watched from the command center as 12 massive vessels dropped out of hyperspace and took positions around the planet. The ships were unlike anything in Earth's databases, with organic curves and surfaces that seemed to shift and move like living creatures. They were clearly built by the insectoid species that Earth's intelligence had identified as the Hive Collective. "Incoming transmission," reported Communications Officer Larry Kim. "They're broadcasting on standard frequencies." "Put it through," Kate ordered. The main screen filled with the image of a creature that belonged in humanity's worst nightmares. The alien looked like a giant insect, with multiple arms ending in sharp claws and compound eyes that glowed with an evil red light. When it spoke, its voice was a harsh buzzing that the computer struggled to translate. "Zephyrian colony, you will surrender immediately," the creature said. "Your mining operations in this system violate Hive territorial claims. Resistance will result in complete extermination of all personnel." Kate felt a moment of confusion. Before she realized what had happened, the Hive Collective had mistaken New Denver for a Zephyrian settlement. The mining operations must have produced energy signatures similar to Zephyrian technology. She quickly activated the communication. "System, this is Colony Administrator Kate Sullivan of New Denver Colony," she said. "We are human colonists, not Zephyrians. There has been a mistake." The alien creature on the screen tilted its head in what might have been confusion. "Human? Unknown species designation. Colony will be destroyed to prevent Zephyrian use of strategic resources. Wait." Kate shouted, but the transmission had already ended. The attack began 30 seconds later. Energy beams lanced down from the Hive ships, striking the colony's power stations and communication arrays. Explosions rocked the settlement as buildings collapsed under the alien bombardment. Kate grabbed the emergency communication device and began broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is New Denver Colony to any Earth vessels in range. We are under attack by alien forces. Repeat, we are under attack. Requesting immediate assistance." Tony Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom. "System. All defensive units? This is Security Chief Rodriguez. The colony is under attack. All personnel not in shelters should take defensive positions immediately. We are going to show these things what humans can do." The colonists fought back with everything they had. The converted plasma cutters fired streams of superheated energy at the attacking ships, while mining charges detonated in carefully planned sequences to damage landing craft. The armed construction mechs moved through the colony streets, engaging Hive ground forces with improvised weapons and sheer determination. Kate coordinated the defense from the command center, watching as her people fought desperately against overwhelming odds. The miners who had spent their lives drilling through solid rock now used those same skills to create underground bunkers and defensive positions. The engineers who had built the colony's infrastructure turned their knowledge to destroying bridges and sealing tunnels to slow the alien advance, but despite their courage and determination, the colonists were facing an enemy with technology centuries ahead of their own. The Hive weapons cut through their improvised armor like paper, and their ships could strike targets anywhere in the colony with perfect accuracy. One by one, the defensive positions fell silent. Kate watched the battle unfold on her tactical display, seeing the red markers that represented her people disappear one by one. She had never felt so helpless in her life. These were her people, her responsibility, and she was watching them die because some alien species had made a stupid mistake. "Kate, we need to get you to the deep shelters," Tony said over the communication. "System," his voice was strained, and she could hear weapons fire in the background. "Not yet," she replied. "I'm staying here as long as the command center is operational." The battle raged for 3 more hours. The colonists fought with a ferocity that seemed to surprise the Hive forces, inflicting casualties with their improvised weapons and guerrilla tactics. But there was never any real doubt about the outcome. The aliens had ships that could destroy city blocks with single shots, while the humans had mining equipment and determination. As the command center began to shake under direct bombardment, Kate made her final transmission. She looked directly into the camera and spoke clearly, knowing that her words would reach Earth eventually. "This is Colony Administrator Kate Sullivan of New Denver Colony. We have been attacked and overrun by forces of the Hive Collective. They hit us thinking we were someone else, but they killed us just the same. To whoever receives this message, remember what happened here. Remember that they killed 50,000 innocent people because they couldn't be bothered to check who we really were. And when you have the chance, show them who we really are." The transmission ended as the command center collapsed around her. Kate and the handful of remaining colonists made their way to the deep emergency shelters carved into the bedrock far beneath the colony. As she sealed the heavy blast doors behind her, she could hear the sounds of the battle ending above. The emergency session of the Earth Defense Council convened 12 hours after Kate Sullivan's final transmission reached Earth. Admiral Jake Morrison sat at the head of the long conference table in the secure meeting room beneath UN Space Command headquarters, looking at the faces of the most powerful military and political leaders on Earth. Every person in that room had seen the recording of New Denver Colony's destruction, and the anger in their eyes was unmistakable. General Amy Foster, commander of Earth's military forces, stood at the large display screen showing tactical information about the attack. She had been reviewing the data for hours, and her conclusions were grim. Ladies and gentlemen, we have confirmed that New Denver Colony has been completely destroyed. 50,000 civilians are dead, with only 48 survivors found in the deep emergency shelters. The room erupted in angry voices as the military leaders demanded immediate action. Morrison raised his hand for silence, and the room gradually quieted down. General Foster, what do we know about the attacking force? The ships match the design patterns of the Hive Collective, one of the alien powers that warned us to stay out of their war, Foster replied. Our analysis suggests they mistook New Denver for a Zephyrian colony because of similar mining energy signatures. They never bothered to verify what they were attacking. Secretary of Defense Robert Hayes slammed his fist on the table. They killed 50,000 innocent people because they couldn't be bothered to check who they were shooting at. This is an act of war, plain and simple, Morrison nodded grimly. The question is, what are we going to do about it? We're facing an enemy with technology that's clearly superior to ours. A direct military response could result in the destruction of Earth itself. Admiral, with respect, I think you're underestimating our capabilities, said a quiet voice from the far end of the table. Everyone turned to look at Dr. Marcus Webb, director of a classified research program that most of the council members had never heard of. Webb was a thin, elderly man with gray hair and tired eyes, but when he spoke, his voice carried absolute authority. Dr. Webb, I wasn't aware you had clearance for this meeting, Morrison said carefully. I have clearance for any meeting that discusses Earth's military response to alien threats, Webb replied, which is why I'm here to tell you about the Prometheus project. The room fell silent. Even General Foster looked confused. Dr. Webb, I've never heard of any Prometheus project, she said. Webb stood up and walked to the display screen. General, with your permission, I'd like to show the Council something that will change their perspective on this situation. He pulled a small device from his pocket and connected it to the room's computer system. The tactical display disappeared, replaced by images that made everyone in the room gasp. The screen showed massive shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt, where sleek warships unlike anything in Earth's official fleet were under construction. The ships were beautiful and deadly, with smooth hulls that seemed to absorb light and weapon systems that looked far more advanced than standard Earth technology. For the past 20 years, the Prometheus project has been developing advanced military technology based on artifacts recovered from ancient sites on Mars and several outer system moons, Webb explained. We've been preparing for the day when Earth would face technologically superior enemies. That day has arrived. General Foster stared at the images in amazement. Dr. Webb, how is this possible? I oversee all military research and development. How could such a massive project exist without my knowledge? Because it was authorized directly by the UN Security Council and kept classified at the highest levels, Webb replied. The project has been funded through black budget allocations and staffed by volunteers who understood they were working on humanity's ultimate defense. Everything you see here has been built in complete secrecy. Admiral Morrison leaned forward in his chair. Dr. Webb, what exactly are we looking at here? 47 warships equipped with quantum torpedo systems, adaptive artificial intelligence targeting computers, and stealth technology that makes them invisible to conventional sensors, Webb said. Each ship is crewed by pilots who have been trained to interface directly with the ship's AI through neural link systems. They can react faster and coordinate better than any conventional crew. The images on the screen changed to show pilots. In advanced training simulators, their heads connected to complex neural interface devices, the pilots moved with inhuman speed and precision, controlling their ships as if they were extensions of their own bodies. The neural link technology allows one human pilot to control systems that would normally require a crew of dozens, Webb continued. Our test results show that a single Prometheus ship can outfight 5 conventional vessels of the same size. Secretary Hayes looked skeptical. Dr. Webb, this all sounds impressive, but how do we know these ships can stand up to alien technology? That's centuries ahead of ours? Webb smiled for the first time since entering the room. Because the alien technology isn't centuries ahead of ours. Secretary Hayes, the artifacts we found on Mars are actually more advanced than anything the current galactic powers possess. We believe they were left by an ancient civilization that disappeared thousands of years ago. By reverse engineering their technology, we've actually leapfrogged ahead of our supposed superiors. The room buzzed with excited conversation as the implications sank in. Morrison called for order again. Dr. Webb, how many of these ships are ready for combat? 12 ships are fully operational with trained crews, Webb replied. Another 20 will be ready within 6 months. The remaining 15 are still under construction but could be rushed to completion if necessary. General Foster stepped forward. Admiral, I recommend we authorize an immediate strike against the Hive forces responsible for the New Denver attack. We need to send a message that humanity will not tolerate the slaughter of our civilians. I agree, said Captain Ben Parker, who had been quietly taking notes throughout the meeting. But I suggest we make our first strike carefully calculated. We want to demonstrate our capabilities without revealing the full extent of our technology. Morrison turned to Dr. Webb. Doctor, who would command these ships in combat? The squadron leader is Captain Ryan Clark, one of our most experienced neural link pilots, Webb replied. He's been training for this scenario for 5 years. His pilots are ready, Morrison made his decision. General Foster authorized the deployment of Captain Clark's squadron. Their mission is to locate and destroy the Hive fleet responsible for the New Denver attack. Dr. Webb, I want complete operational security maintained. As far as the rest of Earth's military is concerned, this is a classified special operations mission. Understood, Admiral, both officers replied. There's one more thing, Morrison continued. We need to send a message to the Zephyrian Empire informing them of what happened. If they're as reasonable as their ambassador claimed to be, they should understand that we're not starting a war, we're finishing one. Captain Parker nodded. I'll draft a message explaining the situation. We should also begin intelligence gathering on all 3 alien powers. If we're entering this war, we need to know everything about our enemies and potential allies. As the meeting broke up, Morrison remained seated at the table, thinking about the magnitude of what they were about to undertake. 3 days ago, Earth had been a minor player in galactic affairs, content to mine asteroids and explore nearby star systems. Now, they were about to reveal military capabilities that could change the balance of power in a war that had been raging. For 17 years, Dr. Webb approached Morrison as the room emptied. Admiral, there's something else you should know about the Prometheus project. The neural link technology doesn't just allow our pilots to control the ships better. It allows them to coordinate with each other in ways that no other species has ever achieved. When our pilots fight together, they're not just a squadron of individual ships. They become a single, unified weapon system. Morrison looked at the elderly scientist with new respect. Dr. Webb, how long have you known this day would come? Since the day we found the first artifact on Mars 23 years ago, Webb replied. The artifacts contained warnings about aggressive species in the galaxy and detailed plans for defensive technologies. Whoever left them knew that humanity would eventually need to defend itself against exactly this kind of threat. And you've been preparing for it ever since? Webb nodded. Admiral, the beings who left those artifacts were far more advanced than any species currently in the galaxy. They left us the tools we need to not just survive, but to win. The Hive Collective thinks they destroyed a defenseless mining colony. They're about to discover that they've awakened something they're not prepared to face. Morrison stood up and shook Webb's hand. Doctor, I hope you're right. Because if you're wrong, we just signed Earth's death warrant. I'm not wrong, Admiral. Webb said confidently. In 72 hours, Captain Clark and his squadron will show the galaxy that humanity is not as defenseless as we appear. The Hive Collective wanted a war. Now they're going to get one. Captain Ryan Clark floated in the pilot chamber of his ship, the neural interface cables connecting his mind directly to the vessel's artificial intelligence systems. Around him, 11 other Prometheus-class ships moved through space like hunting wolves, their stealth systems making them invisible to conventional sensors. They had been tracking the Hive fleet responsible for the New Denver attack for 6 days, following the alien ships through 3 different star systems. The neural link allowed Ryan to feel his ship as if it were his own body. He could sense the quantum torpedoes in their launch tubes, the energy building in the main weapons, and the thoughts of his fellow pilots through their shared connection. When Prometheus Squadron fought together, they became something greater than the sum of their parts. They became a weapon that the galaxy had never seen before. Target acquired, reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim through the neural link. Her thoughts appeared in Ryan's mind as clearly as if she had spoken aloud. Hive fleet is holding position around the gas giant in the Kepler 452 system. 12 ships, same configuration as the ones that hit New Denver. Ryan felt the cold anger of his pilots. Through their shared connection, every member of Prometheus Squadron had volunteered for this mission knowing they might not return. The destruction of New Denver had shocked all of humanity, but it had affected the Prometheus pilots on a deeper level. They had trained for years to protect Earth's colonies, and they had failed to save 50,000 innocent people. Tactical analysis complete, reported Commander Bill Nash, Ryan's second-in-command. The Hive ships are spread out in a defensive formation around a mining platform. They've established on one of the gas giant's moons. They're not expecting an attack. Ryan studied the tactical data flowing through the neural link. The Hive fleet was powerful, but they were positioned like a force that expected no opposition. Their ships were focused on protecting the mining operation, not watching for enemy vessels. It was exactly the kind of overconfidence that Ryan had hoped to exploit. All pilots, prepare for attack pattern Alpha 7, Ryan commanded through the neural link. Remember, our goal is to send a message, not to reveal our full capabilities. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we disappear before they can coordinate a response. The Prometheus ships moved into attack formation with a precision that would have been impossible for conventional vessels. Each pilot knew exactly where the others would be at every moment of the battle, their minds linked together through the quantum neural network. They approached the Hive fleet from multiple directions, their stealth systems hiding them until the moment of attack. Ryan felt the anticipation of his pilots building through the neural link. These men and women had trained for this moment for years, and now they would finally have their chance to avenge New Denver colony. He opened a communication channel to Earth, knowing that Admiral Morrison would be monitoring the battle from the command center in Geneva. Admiral, this is Prometheus Leader, Ryan said. We are beginning our attack run. Target is confirmed as the fleet responsible for New Denver. We will show them what humanity can do. The attack began with a synchronized launch of quantum torpedoes from all 12 Prometheus ships. The weapons moved faster than light itself, appearing inside the Hive formation without warning. The first 4 alien ships exploded simultaneously, their hulls unable to withstand the incredible destructive power of the advanced torpedoes. The remaining Hive ships reacted with the speed Ryan had expected from an experienced military force. Their weapons swung toward the attacking humans, energy beams lancing out to strike targets that were no longer there. The Prometheus ships moved with impossible agility, dodging attacks that should have been unavoidable. Their targeting systems can't lock onto us, reported Lieutenant Kim with satisfaction. Our stealth technology is more advanced than their sensors. Ryan felt the battle flowing through his consciousness like a deadly dance. His pilots moved as one organism, supporting each other with perfect coordination. When hive weapons threatened one ship, another would appear to draw fire away. When an alien vessel tried to escape, multiple Prometheus ships would coordinate their attacks to destroy it. The neural link allowed tactics that no conventional force could execute. Ryan's pilots shared information instantly, reacted to threats before they fully developed, and coordinated attacks with millisecond precision. The Hive fleet, despite their superior numbers and larger ships, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Prometheus 3, you have 2 Hive ships converging on your position, Ryan warned through the neural link. I see them, replied Lieutenant Mike Torres. His ship spun through a series of impossible maneuvers, avoiding the alien weapons while launching torpedoes at both attackers. The Hive ships exploded within seconds of each other. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, 12 Hive vessels had been reduced to drifting wreckage, while all 12 Prometheus ships remained undamaged. The mining platform on the gas giant's moon had been destroyed as well. Eliminating the resource extraction operation that the aliens had established, Ryan opened a communication channel to the wreckage of the Hive fleet, knowing that some of the alien crew members might have survived in escape pods. This is Captain Ryan Clark of Earth's Prometheus Squadron. You attacked and destroyed New Denver Colony, killing 50,000 innocent civilians. This is our response. Tell your leaders that humanity remembers its dead and we will have justice for them. The Prometheus ships vanished back into stealth mode and departed the system, leaving behind only wreckage and confusion. The battle had been a complete success, but Ryan knew it was only the beginning. Earth had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. 6 hours later, the news of the battle reached the highest levels of the galactic powers. In the crystal spires of the Zephyrian capital, Ambassador Veltar studied the reports with growing amazement. The primitive humans had somehow destroyed an entire Hive fleet without losing a single ship. The energy signatures detected during the battle showed weapon systems more advanced than anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. How is this possible? Veltar asked his military advisor, General Kethver. Our intelligence reports indicated that human technology was centuries behind our own. The reports may have been incorrect, Ambassador, the general replied carefully. The weapon signatures we detected suggest technology that is actually superior to our current systems. The humans may have been concealing their true capabilities in the dark depths of the Hive Collective's central node. The Queen Mind processed the destruction of her fleet with cold fury. The loss of 12 ships was significant but not crippling. What concerned her more was the complete nature of the defeat. Her forces had not managed to damage a single human vessel. The Queen Mind sent immediate orders to Drone Marshal 7742, her most experienced military commander. Investigate these humans immediately. Determine the source of their advanced technology, and assess their threat level. If they possess weapons superior to our own, they must be eliminated before they can interfere further with our operations. In the calculating centers of the Nexus Coalition, artificial intelligences process the battle data with mechanical precision. The quantum computers that served as the Coalition's leadership had been monitoring the Galactic War for strategic opportunities, and the emergence of this new human faction presented interesting possibilities. Analysis complete, announced Central Processing Unit Omega-12 to the Coalition leadership. Human military capabilities exceed all previous estimates. Probability of human victory in direct conflict with either Hive or Zephyrian forces, 73%. Recommendation: establish diplomatic contact immediately. Back on Earth, Admiral Morrison watched the battle recordings in his command center with a mixture of pride and concern. Captain Clark's squadron had performed perfectly, demonstrating humanity's advanced capabilities without revealing their full strength. But Morrison knew that Earth had now become a major player in a galactic war, whether they wanted to be or not. Dr. Marcus Webb stood beside Morrison, studying the tactical data from the battle. Admiral, The neural link technology performed even better than our simulations predicted. The coordination between our pilots was flawless. Doctor, what happens now? Morrison asked. We've shown the galaxy that we're not defenseless, but we've also made ourselves a target. Every major power will want to know where we got this technology. Webb smiled grimly. That's exactly what we want, Admiral. For too long, Earth has been ignored by the galactic powers. Now they'll have to take us seriously. The Zephyrians will want us as a hive will want us destroyed, and the Nexus will want to study our technology. We're no longer observers in this war. We're players. Morrison nodded, understanding the magnitude of what they had accomplished. In 18 minutes of combat, Earth had transformed from a minor colony builder to a force that could change the outcome of a galactic war. The question now was whether humanity was ready for the responsibilities that came with such power. Dr. Webb, Morrison said quietly, I hope the beings who left us those artifacts knew what they were doing. Because there's no going back now. Ambassador Elena Price stepped off the transport shuttle onto the crystal platform of the Zephyrian capital, becoming the first human to set foot on an alien world in an official diplomatic capacity. The city stretched out before her like something from a dream, with towering spires of living crystal that sang in harmonious tones as the wind passed through them. She carried with her the weight of Earth's future and a message that would either secure humanity's place in the galaxy or declare war on the most powerful civilization known to exist. Behind her walked General Amy Foster and Dr. Marcus Webb, representing Earth's military and scientific capabilities. The three humans had traveled for 2 weeks through hyperspace to reach the Zephyrian homeworld, and during that journey they had received constant updates about the escalating conflict between Earth and the Hive Collective. The Prometheus squadrons had been busy during those 2 weeks. Captain Ryan Clark's original 12 ships had been joined by 20 more vessels as Dr. Webb's production facilities worked around the clock to meet the demand for Earth's new weapons. The human fleets had struck Hive supply convoys, destroyed mining installations, and eliminated scouting forces with a precision and effectiveness that shocked the galaxy. Ambassador Veltar met them at the platform, his crystalline form shifting. Colors and what Elena had learned was a sign of diplomatic courtesy among his people. Ambassador Price, welcome to Zephyr Prime. Your species continues to surprise us with capabilities we did not expect. Ambassador Veltar, thank you for agreeing to this meeting, Elena replied. Earth seeks justice for the destruction of New Denver Colony, but we also recognize that this conflict has grown beyond our original intentions. We believe it's time for all parties to consider new approaches to ending this war. As they walked through the crystal corridors toward the diplomatic chambers, Elena marveled at the alien architecture around her. The Zephyrians had built their city to resonate with natural harmonies, creating a living symphony of light and sound that was both beautiful and functional. It was clear that this was a civilization with thousands of years of advancement behind it. Ambassador Price, I must ask directly, Veltar said as they entered a circular chamber filled with floating crystal formations. Where did your species acquire such advanced military technology? Our analysis of the recent battles suggests weapons, systems that exceed our own capabilities. Dr. Webb stepped forward before Elena could respond. Ambassador Veltar, our technology is based on artifacts discovered on Mars and other locations in our solar system. We believe they were left by a civilization that predates all current galactic powers. The Zephyrian ambassador's crystalline form shifted to a deep blue color that Elena recognized as intense interest. You speak of the ancients. Most galactic civilizations have legends of such beings, but no one has found functional technology from their era. Until now, Webb replied. The artifacts contain not just advanced weapons designs, but also detailed information about galactic history and the nature of consciousness itself. Our neural link technology is based on ancient understanding of how minds can connect and coordinate. Meanwhile, millions of light years away, Colonel Sandra Lee was putting that coordination technology to its most severe test yet. She commanded a joint force of 30 Prometheus ships and 50 Zephyrian vessels in a massive assault against the Hive Collective's primary breeding world in the Vega system. The operation required precise timing and flawless cooperation between two very different military traditions. Zephyrian Fleet Leader Kothval, this is Colonel Lee, Sandra transmitted to her alien counterpart. Human forces are in position for Phase 1 of the attack. Are your ships ready to begin the orbital bombardment? Confirmed, Colonel Lee, came the musical reply. Your species' tactical planning continues to impress us. Never before have we coordinated such a complex operation with another civilization. The battle for Vega 7 demonstrated the full power of human military innovation combined with Zephyrian technological superiority. The Prometheus ships used their stealth capabilities to eliminate the Hive orbital defenses, while the Zephyrian fleet engaged the main enemy battle group. The coordination was so precise that the two forces never interfered with each other, despite operating in the same combat zone. Sandra felt the neural link connecting her to her fellow human pilots, but she had also learned to coordinate with the Zephyrian commanders through conventional communication systems. The combination of human adaptability and alien experience proved devastatingly effective against the Hive forces. On the other side of the galaxy, Commander Jack Thompson was working with a very different kind of ally. The Nexus Coalition had approached Earth with a proposal for cooperation after analyzing the effectiveness of human military tactics. The mechanical beings were fascinated by the neural link technology and wanted to understand how organic consciousness could achieve such perfect coordination. Commander Thompson, our quantum processing systems have analyzed your recent tactical innovations, said Central Processing Unit Gamma 15 through its mechanical communication device. The efficiency gains from neural coordination exceed our mathematical models by 37%. We wish to establish joint operations protocols. Jack stood in the command center of Nexus Station Omega, surrounded by the gleaming metal and pulsing lights of artificial intelligence systems that had been calculating optimal strategies for centuries. The Nexus had originally been allies of convenience with the Hive Collective, but the emergence of human capabilities had shifted their strategic calculations. CPU Gamma 15, Earth is willing to share tactical coordination protocols in exchange for Nexus manufacturing capabilities, Jack replied. Our weapon production is limited by industrial capacity, but your automated factories could change that equation. The negotiations were unlike anything in Jack's experience. The Nexus beings thought in pure logic and probability calculations, making decisions based on mathematical analysis rather than emotion or politics. It was both refreshing and unsettling to deal with allies who cared nothing for pride or territorial ambitions. Back on Zephyr Prime, Elena Price was delivering Earth's formal proposal to the assembled Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of minor civilizations had gathered to hear humanity's plan for ending the 17-year war that had consumed the galaxy. Honored delegates, Earth proposes a complete restructuring of galactic governance, Elena announced to the chamber filled with beings of every conceivable shape and form. The current system of three major powers competing for dominance has resulted in endless conflict and the deaths of billions of sentients. We propose instead a confederation of equals, with Earth serving as neutral mediator. The reaction was immediate and intense. Some delegates cheered while others expressed outrage at the presumption of the newest galactic civilization. But Elena had expected this response, and she was prepared with the argument that would change everything. We understand that many of you question our qualifications to mediate galactic affairs, she continued. But consider the evidence. In 3 months, human forces have achieved what the three major powers could not accomplish in 17 years. We have forced a stalemate in a war that seemed endless. Our success comes not from superior firepower alone, but from our ability to adapt, coordinate, and unite different civilizations toward common goals. Dr. Webb activated a holographic display showing the recent battles. The neural link technology that gives our pilots their coordination abilities has an unexpected side effect. It allows different species to work together with unprecedented efficiency. Humans can serve as living communication networks between civilizations that have never been able to cooperate effectively. The implications were staggering. For the first time in galactic history, there was a technology that could allow different species to truly understand and coordinate with each other. The wars between civilizations had always been fueled by miscommunication and incompatible thinking patterns. Humanity offered a solution to problems that had plagued the galaxy for thousands of years. Ambassador Veltar spoke for the Zephyrian Empire. The proposal has merit, but it requires a demonstration of human neutrality. How can we trust that Earth will not use this mediating position to advance its own interests? Elena had prepared for this question as well. Ambassador Earth proposes to place all human colonies under joint galactic administration until the new confederation is established. We will submit to oversight by representatives from all major civilizations. Our commitment to galactic peace will be backed by our willingness to sacrifice our own sovereignty. The chamber fell silent as delegates processed this unprecedented offer. No civilization in galactic history had ever volunteered to limit its own power for the benefit of others. The proposal challenged every assumption about how interstellar politics worked. As the debates continued late into the night, reports arrived from across the galaxy showing the continuing success of human-led coalition forces. The Hive Collective was retreating on multiple fronts, their forces unable to cope with the coordinated attacks by species that had never successfully worked together before.